Journey Through the Innerverse. Hi, Alexis.
Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty okay. It's been like a really busy day. Capricorn season is literally like really Capricorning for me right now. It's like, oh my gosh, like I was supposed to be resting. Like what's happening? But I've
hmm
been, busy. So what about you?
I have been actually pretty good. I have been in a very intense state of self-reflection and isolation. Like I feel myself lately have just been very isolated. And my dream space has been just booming. And this makes sense, my Capricorn is in the third house, and my Neptune is in Capricorn. So I think my Uranus is in Capricorn too, the two in the third house. So I definitely feel like whatever's being highlighted in that, I can feel for sure. But yeah, everything's pretty okay.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about common dream symbols and themes, and we're going to focus specifically on in this episode doors, mirrors, and divination. I'm really excited about the three that we picked for this chat today or tonight. And yeah, so what we're going to do, as always, we will share just the cosmic climate, the energy check-in, and then yeah, we'll get right into tonight's topic. And so I already see Jace is here live. Hi, Jace. Thanks for
Hey,
being here with
Jace.
says good evening, everyone. Jace is more than likely going to be here with us live next week. I know we chatted
Woo!
Jace, but and so now I'm just like confirming it, right? If that still works, and we'll share with you guys later what we'll be discussing next week. And I'm really, really excited, and I hope that you'll be excited too. Ashes to Ashes is here, says Innerverse in the house. Holla.
Hello.
You guys are going to be excited. All right. So, yeah, let me just briefly touch on the cosmic climate, which is essentially the current astrological transits and energy that is in the field right now. And we are in Capricorn season and we're fully in Capricorn season. Like I mentioned, I've just been really busy and I started out really good with Capricorn energy or the season with like taking time once a day at least. I mean, I was really ambitious. Sometimes I would do 2 to 3 times where I would just like stop and do a deep meditation or just like lay
Mm.
down and chill, which is like out of the ordinary for me, especially just to lay down because I don't nap. I don't just rest in the middle of the day, especially because I have a top, or I guess she's not a toddler now. She's 5. Um, so she's graduated from toddler to like, I guess, kid. And yeah, so I don't really do that. And so it was really lovely. And then right after New Year's, I don't know what happened. I just lost that flow and I just was like work, 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 work. And now today, literally after probably what today's January 8th that we're recording this. So after like a week of just nonstop, I am back to my resting siesta meditation in the middle of the day. And that has seemed to help. So this is actually the last week that we'll have as far as, well, we'll have next week as well, but we're getting really close to Aquarius season. So that's going to be interesting. And Pluto will be there to greet the sun as soon as the sun,
hmm
moves to Aquarius. So that's going to be interesting for the dream space.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Really excited.
Oh, what day
And
did you say that was?
so January 19th
I'm gonna write
is
that in.
when Aquarius season starts. So this year it's starting a day early than what we're used to. Usually it's January 20th, which is my birthday. I'm so
Yes, it is.
and this is a big one. I'm turning 40, so I'm really excited and it's a whole thing. I get to meet Alexis in person. Like this is going to be so exciting. I'm just really excited. But I know you guys probably don't care. So back to the energy. For this week. This week actually is a really powerful week for dreams as the moon is making so many interactions this week. And also the lunar nodes are shifting from Libra and Aries to Virgo and Pisces. So this is going to be really interesting, especially having a lunar node in Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that is just like the new lunar nodes are essentially like gateways. I look at them as their own portals for our soul. And so to have a portal in Pisces just feels like really significant to astral travel, to connecting with, spirits and energies on the other side or in other realms. And it just feels really powerful when it comes to intuition, psychic sensitivity, and dreams. And so that's happening. Actually, I think that the nodes have already shifted or is happening within the next day or so. And so yeah, this is going to be ongoing for like a year and a half. And I'm really excited to see how that will influence our dream space.
I can absolutely feel that. I mean, I have been having dreams night after night after night, which, if you guys haven't listened to the last episode, I discussed how the Sagittarius season had kept me in a state of, I guess, rest because I barely had any dreams. In fact, the only dream that I had was the same night Urania had her dream, and they were the only ones that we wrote down for that season, which was very funny. But getting back to dreaming every single night, lucid dreaming, very like interactive in my dream space. I mean, even just like myself being lucid in the dream, I'm in my dream and I like take a deep breath, like, oh, I'm so glad to be back. Like, no matter how ridiculous these
Yeah.
things have been. And it's funny you mention that the nodes are like gateways with Pisces. It's kind of like interacting with like the other worlds, other realms. The dream I had the other night, there was an essence of that in my dream space really strongly. And it was so funny because they entered my dream pretending to be a human. And I could tell that it wasn't a
Yeah.
human, and they didn't really know how to be human, so they were trying really, really hard. They had this really creepy big smile, and they didn't understand, like, it was almost like they were trying to come through in my dream as something familiar, but
Yeah.
they didn't know how to do it. And it was so evident. And I like my dream self was like, okay. Um okay. It was so bizarre and otherworldly, and just I just never had that specific experience before in a dream. So it was just very funny.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm liking what I'm liking about this shift of the nodes too is that the North Node in particular is moving into Pisces, and the North Node essentially is that point in which like it's representing what we're wanting to consume, what we're wanting to learn, and it's almost like it's just like this impulse, like our soul is just gravitating towards this energy, and it's like how much can we soak up, how much can we learn, because it's like it's almost like nourishment for where our soul is moving forward to, or how it's evolving. And again, this is in Pisces, so I'm like everyone's going to be soaking up dreams and like psychic things and intuition and just this compassion and like spiritual experience, as well as like merging with different worlds. Like I really feel that we're gonna be walking between worlds. Like we're definitely gonna have this experience, especially in the way that I've been connecting to the energy as like there's the old world and there's a new world and they're existing simultaneously. And for a lot of us who are doing this kind of work, we are kind of like almost, and I was going to say transcending, but we're definitely stepping into other realms more like prevalently. And so I really do see that we're just going to be straddling both worlds. And I really just see that the symbol, if you've ever seen the symbol of the nodes, they're like horseshoes essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like a little arc, it's like a little tiny portal. And I just see that with Pisces, absolutely a portal into just like all the mystical and fun adventures and just all of those topics. And so I'm really looking forward to this shift. So hopefully we'll have some really good dreams. We'll have some really good guest appearances here and chats for you all for the next year and a half, as Pisces really just opens it up and allows us to travel in that way. So, perfect time to be doing the podcast.
Yes.
All right. So, we are going to go ahead and get into tonight's discussion. I just want to say hi to Kat. Thanks, Kat, for being here.
Hey,
Thank you
Kat.
for saying on the chat and saying that you care about what we're discussing, and also probably my birthday. So, that means a lot. As I don't usually talk about my birthday that often, but I'm just in a really playful mood. So, enjoy, everyone. This is going to
I
be a
love that. It's so funny
yeah.
because your birthday is the same as my sister's. So like that parallel in my life is just so bizarre. And like now I'm like, oh, Urania's birthday and my sister's birthday on the same day, super significant to me. It's a
Yeah.
really powerful day.
Yeah, we have a lot of birthday synchronicities too. Like my daughter and your dad have the same birthday, which is
Yeah,
like, yeah,
it's
there's so
weird.
many connections. So
The synchronicities are numberless. Like it's
yeah,
insane.
can't make it up. So if there's anyone else watching and you feel compelled to say hello in the chat, we would love to say hi and connect with you. Also, feel free to put any questions, comments, if you want to share your experiences on what we discussed, the dream symbols and whatnot. Feel free to just share. And yeah, we'll bounce this conversation between like the 5, 6, 10, however many there is of us who wants to chat. So thank you so much for being here. All right, so we're just going to jump right in it because whenever we do these dream symbols, it's like there's never enough time. Like we can go so deep with them. And so we really enjoy these chats when we focus on the different symbols. And we definitely want to just put this disclaimer here that what we share is our own interpretation, our own experience with these symbols in our dreams, or what we've heard others share about. Also, we both have our dictionaries that we like to refer to. And of course, that has their own bias and perspective, attached to those interpretations. So at the end of the day, please just go with your intuition, whatever resonates with you, that is what's meant for you. And we would love to hear, your own interpretations on what we discuss here.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to start with divination. And this is like an interesting, I love the symbols that we picked because all three of them are connected and they're so intriguing. And so I was really excited we decided to do this. And so we're going to start with divination. And I want to start by just defining what divination is,
Mhm.
because both Alexis and I had the same experience when we were doing our own research. And, we're like, okay, let's search divination and dreams. Like, let's go and dig into our dream dictionaries. And of course, it's like, okay, no one has like just divination. There's
No.
no just like specific, okay, this is what divination means in the dream dictionary. And when you Google or you look in other books. And so we had to break it down to different like specific divination perspectives and tools
Mhm.
and practices that have shown up in our dreams, or maybe that we have come across, when people share their dreams. And so we're going to touch on those specifically, but I did want to just define what divination is and then how that can be reflected into the dream space. So, divination is essentially the act or practice of seeking wisdom or guidance about the future from unseen energies, from spirit, from the universe. And if you Google divination, they're going to say supernatural forces, which I don't know why I feel a weird way about the word supernatural. It feels disconnected. But then when you think about super and natural, I mean, yeah, it's like it's otherworldly.
Yeah.
It's this grand energy, but I don't know. So I put my own insert in there as far as like energies, like unseen energies or spirit or the universe or your spirit guides. And I know pretty much probably all of you that are listening to this chat will, resonate with like spirit guides and things of that nature.
Mhm.
So did you come across kind of like basically the same
Yeah,
interpretation
I came
or
across about the
definition?
same thing. And there are so many different types of divinations. So many. I mean, you have palm reading, tarot, bib the frick is it? Bibli
Bibliomancy?
Bibliomancy, dream work is a divination of its own, and which is the one that myself experiences the most out of all. You know, I use tarot, but really dream work is where my divination comes from, and I feel like it's the same for you, Urania, where like you have a lot more connection to different divinations than I do, but your dream space is very strong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So what tends to show up in my dream space pretty frequently as far as divination has been um astrology, specifically the moon. When I was going back to find a dream for our chat tonight, I had a lot of dreams about involving moons. And I was just like, whoa, this is really cool and interesting. I just didn't like, I remember them, and there's one or two that I actually forgot about. But it's just, it just makes me really excited when I do have those type of dreams. And then the other divination experience I had was fortune teller ladies, and is what I call them. But it was like I was in a tavern essentially, and there was a line to um see these fortune tellers. And I guess I'll just share the dream now, and I apologize if you've heard this dream before because I've shared it. But anyways, I was in this like tavern, or it was more like a speakeasy because no one really knew it was there. And when I arrived there with a friend, like basically we went to the strip mall, and we weren't planning to go to this space, but we just knew to go. It was like in between different like stores, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we went in this in between space, and then when we went in there, I knew exactly where I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, we're here. And I literally like expressed that kind of excitement, like, oh my gosh, yay. Like I haven't been here in so long. And there was a line of people. And then there were three, like the stereotypical, fortune teller ladies had the whole look and everything. And they were sitting on the floor. And so you were in line to go, you didn't get to pick which one you wanted. It was just like whoever's next.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to, yeah, so finally it was my turn, and I sat down with the lady, and it's like I had been there before. So it was just like this feeling of like, oh, I'm finally here again. And it felt, honestly, as I'm saying this, it kind of felt like the nodal type energy of like something shifted, something's open, and it's like I walked through a portal, and it's like, okay, here is this next point of your evolutionary journey. And so I sat down with her, and like everything was good. And, like I got all good cards basically. And then she mentioned, she was like, like in the tarot, it just doesn't consist of all good cards. Like there are some, like, she didn't say bad cards, but there are some that are heavy energy. And I was like, of course. And as she was saying that, she like, I don't know if she pulled it or if it fell out, but it was the Nine of Swords.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, and then I was like, oh, what does this mean? Or I was trying to ask her, what does it mean? But I ended up waking up, and there was another part of the journey too. Before I woke up, it's like you sit with the ladies, and then you go talk to somebody else who's like also like some sort of fortune teller type thing, or person. But anyways, I remember like I woke up wanting to know, and I just had this intuitive like since when I woke up to like I thought about like the decan of the astrology that's associated with the Nine of Swords, and it's I believe Mars and Gemini. And so I was like, let me look at the charts right now and see what's going on with this. I think it's like the second decan of Gemini. And so I saw that, I was like, oh shoot, in like a day or two, the moon's going to be in this part of Gemini, in this section of Gemini that corresponds to the Nine of Swords. And lo and behold, at that time in waking life, had I had a phone conversation with my mom that was reminding me that the next day was the 20th anniversary of my grandmother's passing, which was like, it was crazy because I was like, it hit me, but I also felt so prepared from that dream because the conversation with my mom happened at the next day or so, and it was the day that the moon was in that part of Gemini. And so I had like message Alexis right away, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, and I was so excited. and I just felt really prepared from the dream. But then the next day I had the huge, like on the day of her passing or anniversary, I had a huge emotional release. And so
Mm-hmm.
it was just nice the way it worked out, and the way I was prepared. And I felt like that was like my first true precognitive dream, in the sense of like it was extremely supportive. So I would say, and just thinking back of most of my divination dreams, specifically astrology, has been precognitive in an interesting way.
It's so interesting. I mean, I remember when you told me that dream. Like, I remember because there was a concern that you had. You were like, I don't know if this is like not like at first you were kind of like, I don't know if this is like like if I should be nervous. And I was like, this feels not like a bad thing. Like this
Yeah.
feels like something you need to pay attention to, but it doesn't feel bad. And then immediately you were like, oh my God, it's my grandmother's 20th anniversary since she passed away. And it just like everything was aligned, everything, that's the cool, that's like dream work as divination is one of the coolest experiences. There's no explanation for it. Having those precognitive dreams is just that I can tell you up and down how many I've had. I can't force you to believe me, but it's incredible when it happens. And you're just kind of like, what do I do with this information? There's an aspect, of course, there's some things that are more preparation, but other things it's like, what do I do with this? And one of the things you mentioned about the dream that I don't think I picked up before, but you went into an in between space to get there.
Yeah.
So it was like you were in between the
Yes.
realms, in between the living and the dead, in between the unconscious or conscious. You went into an in between space to get
Yeah.
this information, and it was like,
Yeah,
and
it's
like
like you just
again,
like squeezed in here, like to this, like, yeah, it's so crazy,
it
like an
is.
condensed alleyway, but it wasn't a separation. Like it was just like you knew where to walk and you were walking through that. But it wasn't, if you saw from the outside, there's like nothing there, but you're literally walking in between the buildings. So
Yeah,
yeah, that was
absolutely.
a
And
very fun dream.
it's too, you start to question, like, all right, are these people, like, are these fortune tellers, like, are they ancestors, are they spirit guides, are they, people who have passed, who are, whatever it may be. Like, you start to just
It,
question so many different things. It's
it felt, that's so interesting. It felt like they were, like they didn't feel like spirit guides. They felt like, I want to say timekeepers, but if any of you listening, and Alexa, if you know, as far as like the three fates, like the three sisters, and how like one like weaves the time, the other one reads it, and the other one, and the third one like casts the lots, basically. It kind of felt like that. Like these
ooh,
ladies, or this space was like they were, the ones, they were the timekeepers, and also had an aspect of like fates and stuff. So it's like it was almost like
mm,
a checkpoint, which
yeah.
really makes me think of those nodes. It really, like, I didn't, yeah, that's just a new insight where I'm like, oh yeah, that feels like that kind of energy, that kind of shift. So
It
that was
reminds me of like the three sisters in Hercules, like the
really,
animated
yeah,
movie Hercules, who all cast like this holdover fate.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
It's so cool. I mean, I have, like I said, my favorite form of divination, the one that comes most naturally for me, is dream work. And the precognitive dreams that I've had range from I'm immediately in a room that I dreamt about, you know, 15 years ago, 12 years ago, 6 years ago. Or I'm like getting a combination of smell and like feeling that I got in the dream, however long ago. Or like fights like that have occurred in my dreams years prior that I never would have seen coming, to people's passing. And you just don't ever really know. Well, maybe, okay, I don't know what to do with the information. I guess that's my purpose, is to kind of figure out what to do with it and where to go with it and how to integrate it into my existence. But I often find that I'm just so like perplexed and blown away, and I really don't know what to do.
Yeah, and I think too, with the dreams being the divination, and that's what I came across like as an aha moment with doing like research for this, is that I was like, oh shoot, like dreams are like a form of divination. So
Yeah.
it's like, then I started to think about the dreams within a dream,
Mm-hmm.
where that, like, how does that even work if you look at it from the perspective of it being like divination in a dream? And just, yeah, so it's there's so many ways and frames of references you can look at your dream, especially in the case of divination, because our dreams are giving us guidance from
Mm-hmm.
unseen energy, like if we're looking at the definition of divination. And so, yeah, let's peel back another layer or make it even more complex by like, what about dreams within a dream?
Yeah. I mean, and
So,
it goes any like because you don't know until it happens. At least that's my experience. I don't know it until it starts happening and I'm brought back to that dream.
yeah,
I don't know how to discern what dreams are precognitive and what aren't, or what parts of dreams are precognitive and what aren't. I mean, it's, I, I have so many dreams that I can't possibly peel apart which one is which until it happens, which
yeah.
in itself is interesting. And then it kind of goes back to like, well, am I just kind of like jumping into the different timeline? Like, am I moving forward in time within my dream space? Like, what is that, and how does that pertain? It's just all of this, all of these. It's just so cool. Like, I just there's it's so cool.
And I'm thinking too that when it comes to knowing what's precognitive, yeah, I think at the end of the day, you don't know. Like, we don't know. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a wait and see type situation with every single dream, which kind of like drive me crazy in
Mm-hmm.
different ways. Cause I'm like, oh, this dream was amazing. I hope this happens. Or if you have like a nightmare, you're like, oh my gosh, please, please, please happen. I would say one of the things that I am really paying attention to after having a few, um, actually, I don't know if all of them haven't been precognitive, but just the way the when the moons show up in my dreams, because that seems to be kind of like the only astrology type symbol that has been coming forth thus far. But I now know, like, if the moon comes, like if I see the moon in my dream, like, okay, what's going on with the moon in astrology, or what, like
Mm-hmm.
pertaining to like how it showed up as recent, or not recently, but in that same period that I had the dream I just mentioned. I did have another dream that involved waxing gibbous moon, I believe. It was either waxing or I think it was waxing. And again, in 2 or 3 days, the moon reached her waxing phase. And I can't, like, I remember that was precognitive in some way, but I can't really remember. It wasn't as profound as what I just shared, but there was something. I think it was just like my emotion that day was like really high vibe. Like I felt like I was in alignment, and it was like, pay attention to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So I know for me personally, if I'm seeing the moon in my dreams, that's an automatic indicator, like my own programming. Okay, look to the astrology, like what's going on with that. So maybe those of you listening, if you have, repeated symbols, and maybe if you've had precognitive, connections with specific symbols that you've noticed, like that could be a symbol that is, giving you a heads up, or it could be associated with something that's precognitive, like more recurring. So, but
Mm-hmm.
again, it's a wait and see. So Jay says, as far as like knowing if it's precognitive, he says it depends. I know my precognitive ones have been used. I stop events from happening. Wait, I know my precognitive ones have been used. Oh yeah. But these events are minor ones, which I feel is why I can affect it. Yeah. So I think Jace, I remember a long time ago, he had mentioned like he would have some sort of confrontation or conflict with someone in a dream, like a coworker or something like that. Or there was just like an indicator that they, like when it happened in waking life, like he knew, like, I think that was kind of a recurring theme or a trigger that you knew, Jace, where it was like, oh, this kind of interaction's happening in my dream. Let me kind of like be careful, or like you're just more aware in your engagements around that time, and you've seen some type of correlation. So Yeah. Yeah, I think it definitely depends.
Yeah, I've definitely had like confrontation like precognitive dreams, but I never like it never hit me until it actually happened. And it was never like purposeful confrontations. Like
Yeah.
I know in this one dream that I had months prior to it happening, I think it was like 2 or 3 months prior to it, um, I was like fluffing out a blanket and I hit this girl in the face with my fist on accident while I was fluffing up the blanket. And then in real life, I was walking through, like, we were going through a fun house or like a haunted house, and I tripped and I hit her in the face. And it was the same person. It was the same, like, it was so, everything was the same, like the way that they reacted, like everything was the same. It was just the certain, like, where it was located was different. And like, I never would have been able to figure that out, especially the location being different. How would I, like, it wasn't even like I could pick up on it aside from maybe like the combination of it. It was rainy in both dream and real life, and there was travel involved. So but it was a different location, so I don't know, it just it doesn't, it
Yeah.
gives like it doesn't give, except for the dream I've had several dreams where it gives exact like place, feeling, people, everything's exact. But then I have a lot of them where it's just like there's one or two things off, but
Yeah.
it's other than that, it's like totally the same.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
feel like maybe I just need to learn how to use it better. Like maybe that's where I'm at, where like,
Well, I think the greatest thing is that I'm sorry to interrupt.
no, no, no.
Just don't want to forget what I was gonna say. I think the biggest thing is like that element of awareness
Mm-hmm.
where it's like you can kind of connect the dots where you're like, wait a minute, this happened in the dream. So this and this might happen, or let me, or you could just flow with it and see if it all like aligns, like how it's presented in your dreams. And I know Jace also mentioned those deja vu experiences, how they can also stem from, they can be like, dreams that maybe we don't
Oh,
recall or like hate.
all of my deja vus are from dreams.
Yeah, which is
I've been catching that for a while. Like every time I have a deja vu, it's a dream that I had.
So do you have a dream, a divination dream specifically that you want to read? I'm gonna have one more too after your, it's short, but it's dealing with cards.
Yeah,
So
so this one is short and it does deal with the tarot card. And it's not, I don't think it's so much like, so the cards were there and that's why I'm telling the story, but I don't know. I'll get to what I think maybe the message was. So I actually had this the other night. So for all of you who don't know, which is probably all of you because you know, um, this past year, my tarot deck, which was the first one I got for myself, I've been using for years. I love her. She gives me all the messages I need. But this last year, I've been getting this calling, this feeling to let her rest. Like she's been doing so much for so long that she needs dormation time. And I'm very picky when it comes to getting tarot decks, oracle decks, stuff like I can't just buy, like I just don't pick them up. Like I really need to have a connection with them. And I'm sure you're the same way, Urania.
I've gone
Um,
back. Yeah.
and so I found this deck on Kickstarter and it was beautiful. But when I found it in the beginning of the year of 2024, they were just campaigning for the Kickstarter. And I'm a skeptical person. I'm always kind of like trying to make the right decision about things. So I'm like, if they're not shipping, I'm not going to buy it yet. I'll just wait until they print and they ship out, and then I'll buy it. So I waited and waited, waited. I've looked for tarot decks. Nothing really hit me except for this one. So at the beginning of November, I saw that they were out for print and ship. And I was like, perfect. It was like perfectly on time. Like I was really getting that call to check and to like put this deck away. And so I bought it and it arrived yesterday. I had a dream a couple of days ago that I was waiting for this deck and it came. And of course, my anticipation and excitement for it definitely played a role and influence in it. So the dream started off with Urania and I in a video chat. And like we weren't live. We were actually just kind of like doing a meditation together. So we decided to do like a bath meditation, like in our bathing suits, nothing like, nothing like that. But we had crystals and candles lit, and we had a meditation going. We were both really relaxed and just like going with this guided meditation we were on together. And Sidori came running in and like started asking you questions, and George was calling me from like outside the door, and like we both were kind of like, we'll get to this another time, I guess, and like ended our call and did what we had to do. Well, after I got off the call, my tarot deck came. So I ran downstairs, I grabbed it off of my like the in front of the door to my house. I brought it upstairs and I started pulling cards. And I remember the first few I pulled, I was like, "Oh, these are beautiful." They were all, just a preference. All of them were kind of blurry, so I couldn't really tell what exactly they were. And they were like moving in a really weird, like psychedelic kind of, like they were cards, but there was a depth to them that was like otherworldly. And I was really excited, and I was going through these cards, and after like the first three, I was disappointed. I pulled another one. I was disappointed. The artwork, it fell off. Like it didn't look as good as the other ones. It felt rushed. It didn't feel like it didn't feel connected to me. And all of a sudden I had this like dread that like I made a mistake and I bought something that didn't align with me. And like I was really like, I spent the rest of the dream kind of just going through all these cards in disappointment. And then I woke up and it was just definitely weird.
Yeah, now hearing it again, I have, I guess, something else I'll add, but you share your interpretation, your
Well,
feels on.
I think that especially like our guided meditation being interrupted, um, I almost feel like I need to put more space and time into meditation, and not like, because I do find that I've been introspective, but I haven't been meditating in a sense of like completely allowing myself to be in that state of mind. And I feel like it really represents like allowing my not allowing my distractions to stop me from being in a meditative state, because I really really need it. Like I really need it. But then the in regards to the cards, I almost feel like, I don't know, it was like, I don't know if I can really like I had an interpretation for it and then it just dropped off. I don't know where it went. But
Well, I'll share, like, initially, I said I felt that it was kind of, at least that part with the cards was like a compensating uh, dream. And one of the, if you all aren't familiar with compensation dreams, is just like a type of dream where, say, if you have so much like high emotions and almost like kind of like to the extreme, like
mm-hmm.
usually you will have a dream, or sometimes you'll have a dream where it's like the complete opposite end of the spectrum, just to kind of like neutralize the energy. And like people will see this if they're in like really unhappy like relationships or marriages, and they might have a dream where they're like with like their dream wife or husband and they're on vacation and it's just so perfect and it's so like pleasurable or something like that. Or maybe it's even with the person, their partner that they're with, but it's a completely different dynamic and it's kind of extreme.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I've read that, and I've definitely had compensating dreams. And it's like your psyche is trying to give you, kind of like move you back to center, just to give you like an alternate perspective so you can kind of see two different perspectives and find,
Balance for
yeah,
sure.
balance your energy out. So that's initially I was like, oh yeah, you were just like super, super excited. But then, also considering the beginning of the dream with us trying to do the meditation, which also that is like a form of divination, like, and of
Mm-hmm.
course in a dream, that feels like with both of those together, it kind of feels like you were saying, like being guided to really take time to like fully be present with this energy with what it is that you're doing, like the space, like your cards, your, you know, meditations and like reflecting, but also being present and integrating all of it as well. And I think that also another thing that came to mind was that it's like all of these different, like the divination, the new deck, us meditating and like what we're doing here, like all of this is opening up.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like you're kind of experiencing that in your dream space too. And it's like, okay, but yeah, like what we said, the guidance to, you know, give more time to it and
Oh
separate.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was spot on. Yeah.
That it was
That
definitely spot
interpretation.
on. And honestly, I almost feel like there was an aspect of myself that was facing like unconscious fears and desires and just seeking like guidance and wisdom and like not being able to focus enough to get it. Which is funny because I focused on my dream and got that message. The
Yeah.
divination from my dream where I was having trouble with divination is kind of funny. It's very parallel.
Yeah. And I think too, where it's like, I think a part of that too that I got was like trusting also your intuition.
Yeah.
And because like you're like, oh, I got it. And it was just like you're so disappointed. That was like the main thing. But when you actually got it in waking life, it was like you were on point with your desires with that. So I think it was a little bit of that.
Oh, for sure.
Cool. So I'm going to read mine really quick. And then I want to share, I found in my dream dictionary their breakdown, their interpretation of card games and dreams. So I think we can kind of adapt that. And then we'll get into doors and portals.
Mm-hmm.
Or doors are portals.
Yeah,
Mirrors,
doors,
doors,
portals are
right? So we
mirrors,
kind of like jumped.
portals.
Spoiler alert. Okay. So, all right, this one is really short. So I hopped on a phone call with a friend and quickly learned that her sister was on the line too. I believe I answered the phone and heard her sister say 38 Amber. I was confused. Her name is Amber, the sister. So she said 38 Amber. I was confused and had her repeat it a couple times until my friend said, it's Amber. And then her mom was also on the line, and a woman, and also a woman, a man, and another young woman. So Amber introduced us to the three people and asked her sister to officiate their union, in other words, to marry them. I was so confused as the women seemed very young. Everything felt rushed. I also learned in that moment that my friend was an ordained minister, which she's not in waking life. She's a nurse. As they were going, as they were going through the process to bind their union, I could see this white card with a heart on it. It kind of looked like a small playing card. The card, a real tiny, wait, oh, the card had a really tiny dagger going through it. It was quickly revealed that she was cursed, and the binding of this union would break it. They only had a small window of time. So my friend's mother and I were on the call as a witness. She mumbled under her breath that would all be cursed. We would all be cursed for witnessing this. She was joking, yet I felt there was some truth there. And that was it. So weird.
That's interesting. Did you ever reach out to your friend Amber and like, or your friend's sister Amber and like, or your
No, I'm
friend?
friends with both of them. It's my daughter's father's sisters. They're probably not listening to this, so um, they'll think it's actually hilarious. At least one. Um, no, I didn't. This was in September of 2023.
Yeah.
So, and there's a dark moon in Virgo. So I don't know. No, it was really interesting, but I never, I just jotted this dream down. I actually had a lot of dreams this night. So this was the second dream out of three. So like I said, three dreams that I noted. I was really on top of my dream recall this time. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't even know what to make of it. Um,
It's so interesting, especially the fact that like your career for her in your dream wasn't your career for her, like wasn't her career in real life.
yeah.
And
And
like
yeah.
what does an ordained minister do? They have the tools and skills or certificate or whatever it is. I don't know that much about it, so please don't be offended if you anybody hears this. I am ignorant to this aspect aside from the fact that they join people together in holy matrimony. And maybe that could have been like a protective aspect to this dream, where the card is putting out something that could possibly be a negative thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting because the mother who was also on the call that said, "Oh, we're all cursed," or something like that. The mother in waking life is literally a born again Christian, and she's
Mm.
evangelical or evangelic. I don't even know how to
I
say it.
think evangelical is correct.
Yeah. So, and she's like, definitely, she is on us. She's gotten better, but she will be like, you need to go to church and all this stuff. So that was not out of character. And then the sister that was also had the friends, the Amber, she practices astrology and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's kind of making a little bit of sense, but I just don't remember why I had that dream. But I
It
just
could
was
even be like an
skimming through.
overview of conflicting beliefs, like
Yeah.
something along the lines of like
Yeah.
all of these people kind of have, like, everybody in the world has a completely different way of believing in their thing, and it could just be like a combination of collective beliefs in this dream showing up in this dream, since you're like around these people.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna have to like reflect on that. But I was like, oh, I remember it once I came across it, but I had totally forgot about it. Um,
What's interesting? Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I've had one dream where like my it was a different type of divination. It was tea leaf reading. And I had one dream where I was tea leaf reading my own. Well, I like looked at my tea and saw my leaves were turning into a message. But even in that dream that I had, it was a blurred message.
Hmm.
Like it's just
Hmm.
coming back to me
Yeah.
now, thinking about
Yeah.
it too. Like I can't see the messages that are on these cards, or in these images in the tea leaves. So that's really interesting.
That's interesting. I'm gonna write that down. So, any of you listening, either live or listening back to the replay, let us know if you've had any cards show up in your dreams or what your divination dreams have been. I'm really curious and would love to hear. Really quickly, I'm just looking at my dream dictionary, and like we said, these are people's own perspective on these things. But they said so. This is more so specific to card games, so like playing cards. But she says, some dream analysts believe that particular suits have particular meanings that can aid dream interpretations. Cards can suggest joy, happiness, love, and romance, which kind of goes with my dream because I was mentioning it was like a card with a heart on it or a white heart or something like that. And it was like a wedding dream. And basically her curse was going to be released with the union. So that was interesting.
That is
Um,
interesting. Wasn't there a dagger through the card too?
yeah.
So it
So
was
I
almost
think
like the Three of Swords, but
yes,
not.
it made me think of that. It was like reverse, the Three of Swords reverse, but with one sword.
Yeah,
Because it was like the reversal mean, I don't know, it's like healing.
that's
So,
interesting.
oh cool.
Maybe it was a merge of the Ace of Swords and the Three of Swords, like
Yeah.
in meaning. That's interesting.
So diamonds highlight money concerns, but also insights and aspirations. Clubs highlight knowledge, intellect, and achieving goals. Spades represent the difficulties of life and warn of obstacles ahead that you will need endurance to overcome. And so if you are really ambitious and, savvy with tarot and cardomancy, like playing cards, then you can also kind of associate those suits, correspond the suits to the suits in the tarot, the like traditional tarot. But yeah, so there's other breakdowns, but I'll save us some time because yeah, like we're only on one dream symbol and it's 9:50. So
Yeah.
doing it. Awesome. Christopher's here. Christopher says greetings, enter the chat.
Hello, Christopher.
Hi, Christopher. And Courtney's also here, says
Hey,
happy to be. Oh
Courtney.
my gosh, there's so much love. I love you guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
All right. So, speaking of divination,
Mhm.
we're
Wait,
going to,
okay, real quick. Okay, so do you think we're gonna have the time to do both, or do we think we're gonna have to do a part two?
I can go for an extra 30 minutes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I can go a little bit longer. What do you think?
Yep, I'm good. I just
Yeah.
wanted to see where you were at with that.
Yeah, and I think that, mirrors and doors kind of have similar like breakdowns, so to speak. So I think they'll blend together nicely,
Yeah.
and we can kind of let it land how it lands. So yeah, speaking of divination and seeing into the future, gaining insight and all of those things and reflections and whatnot, we're going to transition to mirrors, which mirrors are actually a divination tool in a
Yep.
sense, or it has been used as a divination tool. And so I think it's really interesting that, if you really think about it, when mirrors show up in your dreams, paying attention to how they show up in your dreams, because they can also be their own form of divination and giving a message about your future, or what dreams do, right? They give us insights of unseen energy or our waking life. And so, do you want to share, if you have a dream that you are reading, you can go ahead and we'll just jump right into it if you want.
So I have a few. So mirrors are such an interesting concept to me. I've heard some of your mirror dreams before, which are really interesting. My mirror dreams are really interesting. The other thing too is mirror divination. If you ever did it, it's really interesting. I keep saying the same word. I swear I have no vocabulary. Um, Doing mirror magic and like mirror divination is a very almost intense experience because you're looking into the self. You are looking directly into your being, whether it's in dreams or whether it's in the waking life. Mirrors reflect, and it's there. It's just so mirrors and dreams are complex and can represent a lot of different things. It can represent intellect, so thoughts and reflections. It can reflect or represent coming face to face with an inner or worldly issue. It can represent a need to strengthen or change an aspect of your persona. So if you're like adjusting your appearance in the mirror within the dream or putting on makeup, it's kind of like changing an aspect of yourself. It could be an expression of material ready to emerge into conscious awareness. So that pertains to seeing images in the mirror. It can represent imagination, the link between the unconscious and the conscious world, magic, and looking into the self truth, the shadow self, and seeing, also an aspect of deception and vanity, depending on the context of the dream. I have had mirrored experiences. My very first lucid dream when I was 3 was a dream with mirrors. It was in basically a space of void, and I was with my one aunt, and we were surrounded by mirrors with platforms in the shape of a circle. And there were these otherworldly creatures coming around the sides of the mirrors. Now, I didn't look into the mirrors, so that is an interesting aspect that I didn't really think too much into. So all these otherworldly creatures were coming around the sides of the mirrors. And again, these are huge. I mean, huge. And it was my objective to get myself and my aunt into safety, which I did before I woke up, or at least the energy felt like I did when we started running towards a certain space. And that was the first lucid dream I ever had, which obviously holds a deep impact on me since it was my first experience in this. But there's just something really interesting about mirrors, and we did get uh, um, a dream submitted, and I'm really excited to share it because this dream is
Oh,
really,
cool. Yeah.
really cool, really
Can I just ask you
impactful.
before you get
Sure.
into the dream share, have you ever looked into a dream or looked into a dream? Have you ever looked into a mirror in any of your mirror dreams?
I have, and a lot of the dreams I've had where I looked in the mirrors, it was very blurry,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
like there was no image at all.
Yeah, this is so fascinating to me. Just like the two dreams that I can like vaguely recall, or one's kind of vague, one is pretty clear, but like there's always some kind of eeriness around looking in the mirror, and I could see like, and I can see this dream in my mind, and I like looked in the mirror, but yeah, there was nothing there. It was almost like it was like looking like when you
What
look in
was
the mirror, it's
behind you?
behind you. Yeah.
Yes, but
But
not
it
you.
wasn't like, yeah. So it was
Think
almost like
vampire.
the mirror is like, yeah. And I'm just like, and there's always like this trepidation, like going when you're about to look at it, like,
Well, and
okay.
it makes me think like, okay, why is there this energy? Is there an aspect of myself that I'm not willing to look at?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
is there an aspect of myself that I'm resisting? Um, what is it that is keeping me from staring myself directly in the eyes through a mirror in my dream?
this is
Because
what,
I do mirror magic, and like it has.
yeah,
By the way, guys, if you haven't done mirror magic, just as simple as staring yourself in the eyes, talking to yourself, and telling yourself affirmations, it is powerful. Powerful. Like, if you're consistent and you practice for a while, like, you really, the effects are just insane. Anyway,
yeah,
um, so I find it very interesting and I want to dive deeper into the aspect of not being able to see myself, or not being able to see myself at all,
yeah,
and really go into what that might be representing. But
yeah.
in regards to this submitted dream, Courtney, you're here. I hope you don't mind me. You didn't say whether or not I could
Usually Courtney's cool
share.
with us
Yeah, I
saying,
was gonna say I don't want to, but
thanks, Courtney.
thank you so much. I'm so excited to share this dream. When you shared it with me today, I listened to it and I was just like perplexed by how, like, it's just beautiful and profound. And we talked a little bit about it, but let me go ahead and share it. So in this dream, her and her ex were sharing or staring into a mirror, similar in style to the one in Snow White, though not evil, just the aesthetic of it. When you looked into the mirror, it turned your face into a bird, though her ex was not having that effect. It was only her. Now, at the time, for context, in the waking realm, she was starting to build a relationship with red tail hawks. So they were, so while she was looking into this mirror, she was awaiting to turn into a hawk. But to her surprise, she instead turned into a raven. Now, that off the bat is just, first of all, you're aware of what's happening. You're expecting something because you're passionate about it in your waking life, and you're building this relationship within your waking life, and you're expecting it. And then when it doesn't happen, it just kind of throws you. So the raven made a noise and then flew out of the mirror and away. And she said that there was a surprised feeling and also a disappointed feeling, because she was really trying to connect with that, red tail hawk. And I find that whole dream so interesting. And we had talked a little bit about, you know, like integrating the darker aspects of ourselves, or the shadow self, and how that might represent, how the raven might represent that for her. But I love that dream so much. I think it's beautiful. It really, really highlights this deep connection with. Now, we did a dream symbol episode on birds, so if you guys haven't checked it out, check it out. It's really amazing, it's great, it's fun. But birds are really interesting and mystical, and represent a whole lot of different things. um and there's something so interesting about the fact that it actually, it had that aspect of being a, like, um uh it was an expression of material ready to emerge into the conscious awareness, like I had mentioned before, what this might represent. That, to me, it really pulled from that, like, this, what you were looking yourself in the face, even though you were turned into a raven, and then this raven flies separately, it seems, um out of the mirror in a way. And like, what that, oh, it's just, oh, it's so, Sorry. It was such a cool dream.
Yeah. So, what's interesting too, how you were expecting, or maybe the intention was a red tail hawk, but you received a raven instead. Firstly, it just made me, for whatever reason, think of Harry Potter, just because this is my own little fun moment of it, just when you're waiting for like your assignment of the house. But anyways,
Yes.
but that just but that's not my interpretation on it. It just kind of took me there. The energies between red tail hawk and raven are so different, and
Mm-hmm.
I personally have made connections with both, as in my neighborhood where I live now, there is a red tail hawk that basically lives like, this is her territory, so I see her all the time. And so naturally I looked into red tail hawks, like symbolism, spiritual connection as a totem, and it spoke about the connection to kundalini energy and empowerment, and really like that fire energy, especially like with the red tail. So then they also associated like the root chakra type energy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about that in comparison to what the raven represents, which is like this deep, mysterious, occult type energy, and connected to, the dead, or the other worlds, or you get what I'm
Yes.
going with this. So there's like,
Absolutely.
oh, that's such an interesting dynamic.
I
And
know.
I want to just share my dream dictionary's interpretation of mirrors and dreams, to see if this sparks anything for anyone. So, mirrors are a symbol of the mind, or as a symbol of the mind, the mirror suggests the art of reflection, looking at the reality of who you are, or seeing yourself in a new or different way. If a mirror appears in your dream, do you need to reflect on something that is bothering you? If you saw your reflection, were you happy with what you saw, or do you want to make changes? Light in dreams symbolizes intuition or inner guidance. So if you dream of lights or light bulbs, I don't really know why that's under mirrors, but okay. So if you dream of light or light bulbs, consider their shape. Are they candles flaring upward, or is the light contained in a bulb? That's interesting that she's putting lights under mirrors. I'm like, that must.
Well, I mean, I guess you can't really see yourself in a mirror if there's no light
Yeah.
shining
Okay.
on it.
Yeah. Is there a light around? So is the light flickering or steady? And what does this represent for you right now? So yeah, but that part about just seeing yourself in a new or different way. And then like we said, like, what if you don't even see yourself?
Yeah. And you know what I think was interesting is like you were expecting this you were expecting the red tail hawk, but you were actually transformed into a raven. And it makes me think this dream was a representation of what you need, not necessarily what you want. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that we all these are lessons we often have to learn because we really need to prioritize finding balance between our needs and wants. And if your wants are over, there's just too much of the want, your needs aren't being met. It's like, well, I want to go buy a bunch of stuff, but I don't need to. What I need to do is look inward and spend time meditating and reading books and taking in information. But what will bring me quick happiness is shopping. So
Yeah.
it's almost
Yeah.
it really is. It's like what like prioritize like are maybe at that point in your life you were prioritizing your wants over your needs, and it was a representation of you needing to hone in on what you really need, which again could have just been, like we mentioned, the shadow self, like that integration.
You're getting some hearts in the, like, not the emoji chats, but you know how like on Instagram, if you're
Yes.
tapping hearts, yeah. So you're getting some hearts for that. So that's resonating.
In case you guys know, I can't see the chat. Like
Yeah,
I just
Alexis
I
can't see the chat,
I
so I
I
gotta do
haven't
that.
figured out. I'm technologically not very advanced, and like I've tried, it doesn't work. So it's all a mystery to me. Whatever Urania shares is what I get.
Yeah. So that, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. And I feel that, our dreaming self, or you could say our unconscious, subconscious, our hidden self, like, it knows us the best because it is us.
Hmm.
And so that felt like a very spirit guide type of guidance, where it's like, no, I'm showing you that this is actually, like you're saying, this is what you need. This is actually going
Hmm.
to be even more supportive. So then when you do come around to the red tailhawk type energy, it's going to be even deeper and profound,
Yeah.
possibly. Or maybe the raven's going to take you to, you know, another place where you just like I like to say, there's what you know that you know, there's what you know that you don't know, and then you just don't know what you don't know
Mm-hmm.
until you know it, right? And so it's like, oh, I had no idea, and this is like better than what I was expecting, even though it was like not what I wanted, but or at least initially. So that is
That
right on.
I love that too. So this is totally off topic, but also kind of on topic. There is a comic book series slash um TV show. Oh my god, I'm blanking on it now. But anyway, it is focused on the god of dreams, Morpheus, and all of the things that are in the dream space that is like kind of kept up with him by him, and all of the dream characters and what roles they play and stuff. And they actually have a raven that goes in and out of the unconscious and conscious
Oh wow.
realm, which is it's just so interesting. My brain immediately went to that. So like off topic, kind of on topic.
Yeah. You have to let us know the name of that. We'll have to share it.
It's a comic book from DC. I can't freaking remember it at the uh I it's
Well, it'll
gone.
come to you. You don't have to
Yeah,
force it.
I'm like really trying. I'm
You're
like
like
brain.
focusing. All right. So we have some comments here in the chat. So Christopher says, in one of my dreams, there was a mirror and I saw all possible outcomes of my near future with the people
Ooh.
and the things I would have affected. It was bizarre, literally all the outcomes with all the people and things I have touched and affected at that point in my life. Wow.
Wow. It's like
Incredible.
a reflection of your life so far, where you're at and what you're
Yeah.
doing that is influencing you. That's beautiful, actually. That sounds like a really beautiful, powerful dream.
Yeah. And Jay says a couple of times where I saw in the mirror, I saw something else looking back at me that didn't look like me. The mirror can represent the opposite of you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Also, it just came to me. The Sandman series.
Yeah. Jay's just mentioned that in the chat. He said the Sandman. So I was curious.
The Sandman
Yeah.
series.
I remember you telling me to watch that. Okay.
It's a great show. Like I highly
Um,
recommend it. Especially like I'm sure all of you watching love to dream or experience dreams or hear about dreams. So to kind of have a show that's based in the dream space is really interesting.
All right. So I think we did a good job on the mirror in dreams. And yeah, so we should probably keep it flowing and head over to doors,
Yeah, let's
which
go
is
for it.
also like mirrors and doors have that common connection of being portals in a way, um,
Absolutely.
going on a journey.
Yep.
So do you have a dream specifically or anything you want to just jump us off with?
Yeah, so doors and dreams represent a variety of different things pertaining to learning new or different feelings and perceptions. And there's a lot of different interpretations. So, a search for ourself or our center. Closed doors could represent secret or hidden knowledge or the unconscious. A locked door can represent something you're avoiding. An open door can represent opportunity. A swinging door can represent flexibility. And then, of course, we have Freud and his interpretations of doors and keyholes.
Gosh, yeah.
So he, like, I have to add just a little bit of his interpretation since he's such a important aspect to the dream community. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate his work, but I don't vibe with his overall themes. So in his words or his studies, he says that the both door and keyhole represents the vagina.
I knew it.
The front door represents the vagina, and the
Wow.
back door represents the anus.
Brilliant.
It's
Brilliant.
just like, come on,
Brilliant.
Freud. Really?
It's like, who
Really?
could have
Could there be
guessed?
any more on the freaking tongue? Like, come on.
Right? It's just like, wow, that's
it
all
drives
it
me up
is.
the wall. It drives me up the wall. It's just like, I get it. All right. You needed therapy really, really bad.
Yeah.
And your
That was,
dreams were very sexual all the time.
yes, it's just like, it's so, I'm sorry to say, one dimensional. Like,
No, it is.
but we share
But
it because
it
yeah,
was a jumping point.
it was.
So
It
I
opened
do
the
not
door.
take away any validity of his experience. It's just too simplistic for me personally. But I have had so many dreams about doors. Now, just for my own, like just for some context, I have visualizations of where I am in life, where I am in my chapters. So I'll either be um walking through the door of the chapter. I'll be in between the two doors, one open or closed, either open or closed. It really depends. I'll have a door closed behind me and chains on my legs keeping me attached to that door. Or I'll be going through to the next door that's opened. So this is a visualization. It always pops in my head when I think about where I am in each chapter of my life. So, like, for instance, right now, I've just walked through a new threshold. That's where I am in my journey right now.
In
So,
waking.
in my waking life.
Right. Gotcha.
So, naturally, I have had so many dreams with doors in them. It is the representation of something ending or something beginning, and moving into the unknown. One of the dreams that I've had that really had an effect on me was I was at a party and I'm going to skip the first half just because we're on a time crunch. I
Mhm.
ended up leaving the party and kind of venturing with a group down into the lower corridors of this building. And I remember as I was walking down the stairs, there were doors everywhere. And I remember I had this really anxious feeling deep inside of me, but I opened the door anyway. I was like, fuck it. I'm not going to hold myself back. I'm nervous, but this needs to happen. I opened the door, and at first the energy was really intense, but then it kind of came to a very familiar, like relaxing energy. And this kept happening. I kept walking through these lower corridors with this group. And at one point, there was an open window, and I had a small brown bat fly in through the window and land on me. And even though it seemed kind of hurt and it needed my protection, I almost felt like it was my protector. And it kind of helped me build my courage through going through the rest of the doors that I had gone through. And I find that, pretty profound. I'm lucid, I'm making these decisions even though I'm scared. And it really, for me, represents like how I am in the waking realm, where like facing myself and the deepest aspects of myself and the shame and the guilt is really difficult, but I always push forward and do it anyway because it's what I know I need to do. So that for me was just kind of like almost like a inspirational dream. I know that sounds so like kitschy, but like it was very just it was a strong indication that I'm doing the right thing in my life.
Yeah, and you love bats too. Like you have a connection with bats. So that would make sense that it would come in, it would fly in and be like a protector for you. So that was an immediate like, yes.
Yeah. And it's odd because that's the first time I ever had a bat enter my dream. Normally it's birds, like
Mhm.
owls or herons or
Yeah.
crows or birds that I don't know what they are. They're just kind of like a mesh of a couple different ones. But this was different. This was a bat. I'd never had that. Even though I love bats, it had just never happened before. And when I had this dream, I think I was going through an extremely difficult aspect of my life.
Yeah.
So I really feel like it was like that sign and message that I'm navigating the way I need to be.
Mm, beautiful. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting. I actually didn't recall a door that I had a dream or a dream that I had a door. I always do that. I always mix the words up. I couldn't recall a dream that I had a door in it, but then as you started sharing, I like immediately remembered one. And it's interesting that you and I have correlations of there being some type of spirit guide type energy, like a guiding force or protective energy in the dream. And this one I've shared many times before, and it was a lucid dream. And I think I got to a point in the journey where I was lucid, but I didn't have control of the dream in the sense of like it just me just being in the astral. And this dream, I had come to like I was in a hallway and I was like, and it was bright white, like reflect like fluorescent lights.
Ooh.
And at the end of the hallway, and it wasn't super long, like what you would have in like your house or whatever. But like at the end of the hallway, I remember there was a door on the right and possibly there was a door on the left, but on the wall was three TV screens. And it was like I think I was trying to choose something or something was going on and like each one turned on and like one after the other, and I forgot exactly what was on the screen. I do have this dream written down, but what's important was is that I'm sitting there and I'm trying to decipher the message, and but I felt these people come behind me, and basically it was what I assumed to be like my dream guides because they had a remote and they were controlling the TV screens, and it was like a weird, I've already shared this
I
dream
remember this dream. I remember
but
this one.
there was one part like once I had the whole like, oh my goodness, you're the dream creator. There was a door there and I was like, I want to, like I think I wanted to go somewhere or I just wanted to get in that door, so the door was locked, so that's really interesting. And they, I remember them saying like, do we have to keep doing everything for you? I remember it was like they had said something of that nature, like that's what they meant if it wasn't the words exactly. So they're like, go ahead and open it, or like I don't know if they unlocked it, but it was funny because when I opened it, it was like not what I expected. It was like a warehouse of like, you could think like a, not necessarily a factory, but if you're just like in the basement of a warehouse and it's
Yep.
like again more bright fluorescent lights. And the
Mm.
funny thing was is that some of you may know, some of you probably just found the podcast maybe, but my lucid dream journeys, I'm always trying to have sex with like someone, calling them in, or maybe there's someone there, but it's like, it was so surface level. It's not like that anymore, but at this point, I was literally in the dream being lucid. There was that desire there. And I was like, I'm not going to have sex with anyone. I'm not going to summon anyone in this dream. I'm just going to go along and like make choices and explore. And so this was a really long lucid journey. Like it was a long one. And it was so funny. Like when I got into the warehouse, I was so disappointed and just like, what the was this? Right. And I was trying to say like, oh, and then I started saying, like trying to change the dream environment to like, I want this like nice bedroom. And this, at this point, I'm like, I'm going to hook up with somebody. And that the dream would not satisfy my
Mhm.
intentions. I had literally, I didn't have control of it. And so it was just like, in the dream, I just kind of surrendered. And then, because I went over to this corner and I was trying to change like the environment and everything. And I think there was someone there, but we couldn't like merge or do anything. And then I surrendered. And then when I walked over and there was like they were all having a meeting, but it was like super casual. Like if people are in like the break room at work and like they're hanging out. And it was like, again, the spirit create the dream creators. And I don't know if there were maybe one or two other people, and I just like sat down with them, and I'm pretty sure I probably woke up after that. But it was so interesting because I was so disappointed when like I walked in. I was like, what? Like, what is this?
Well, you know what it makes me think of immediately, especially if this is, you know, set up by your dream guys, is that it was an illusion. Like the warehouse that you walked into was an illusion. It was almost like you had to explore this space in order to get to the place you were actually supposed to get. And then your dream guides are like sitting in the corner, like,
Right. They're just like, you done?
because
It
like
ain't
the way
happening.
that you made them sound, like when they were like, do we have to do everything like do we have to do everything for you? It sounded so like frustrated and annoyed, kind of like, oh.
I could see it because it's like literally every time I lucid dream, it's like, okay, we're gonna go to the beach and he's gonna be here with me. And we're gonna do this. Like,
That's so
they're like,
funny.
really?
It's so interesting too. Like I wonder if you could get back into that space and figure out what that might have been a portal to. Because I almost feel like it was like
Yeah.
hidden, like where you needed to be was hidden within it, and you almost had to search for it.
Yeah, I know. And Jace was telling me to recall when I'm lucid, also try to recall that device that they had, like the remote.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was just a really interesting. And I like up until now I forgot about that part of the dream because I was so like the best part was like seeing them and but yeah, no, they totally
I love that. And you know, it's so funny the way that they are like even like the other night when I had that dream of whatever spirit guide or whatever was trying to
yeah.
come in my dream, trying to like be something that would make
Yeah.
me feel comfortable, but made me feel insanely uncomfortable because they were not hitting the mark with the like human thing they were trying to be. Like it was so evident that it wasn't a human, it wasn't a part of my dream, it was something outside. And I'm like, bro, you're trying so hard. Please stop. Please just take a just be yourself. I can handle it. I can handle that. I can't handle the creepy human,
Oh,
not human thing. Just be yourself.
yeah. Oh my goodness. All
But you know,
right. So
it's
this
oh,
oh go
sorry.
ahead.
I
Sorry,
was
go
just
ahead.
gonna say it's funny because as you were telling that dream, I had another short dream trigger, and it was me and a couple other people that I know going through these long halls to a door, and as we kept going further, the halls got shorter and the doors got smaller. And
Ooh,
like that for some reason just came into my head. I was like, oh, that was an uncomfortable dream.
right. That's
Like
interesting.
claustrophobic almost.
So this is interesting. Because I'm just looking at my dream dictionary and they have, different instances that um doors, like how they show up. And it says if you sorry, one sec. Was it? Okay, so to dream of locked doors signifies opportunities that are denied, unavailable to you, or ones on which you have missed out.
Mm.
Also consider who or what you are shutting out of your life if your dream features a door, perhaps as one dream door closes, another one will open. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Doors and doorways represent an opportunity for either positive or negative change. You may be entering into a new stage in your life, moving from one level of consciousness to another. Yeah. I mean, we'll have to revisit or visit hallways. That
Yes.
came up too. That's a good one. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, this was great. We're getting a lot of hearts, like just the
Thank you,
expression. So people are
everybody,
enjoying this.
so much. You have no idea how excited we get to have you guys interact and be a part of it. It
Yeah.
just sparks so much joy, and we just appreciate you so much. So thank you for showing up. Thanks for being a part of this. Send us in your dreams, even if it's not to share, just for some interpretation. Urania and I both can help with that. um this is just something we're trying to do, is bring dream work to the forefront to help everyone who can be helped in this scenario, understand themselves in this existence better.
Yeah. There's a share in here that I want to go
Ooh.
back to that Courtney shared, and it was about oracles or about the divination. So I want to
Ooh.
touch that and then we'll wrap it up. But Courtney says, I was shown an oracle card with an image that included feathers. It wasn't fully clear. Interesting. But I could see the word Kahoot. Oh, I'm gonna butcher that. I'm so sorry. It's Cihuatl, which is a woman in Nahuatl language of Mexico. Nahuatl. I'm so sorry if I know I butchered that. Not if, I know I did. The dream ended up leading me to Mexico to witness a total solar eclipse. And I believe it was
Ooh.
the eclipse communicating with me. Oh, through the oracle.
Ooh.
Wow, that's
How
cool.
powerful that must have felt.
Yeah, that's amazing. And in response to the Raven dream, Courtney says, I had no idea what was opening up then. And this dream was in 2017. And now I actually have Raven wings and work with Gifted by the Land. Wow.
I love that. That's so beautiful.
Wow. That's amazing. Look at that. Yeah, I butchered that. that pronunciation.
You tried. It's cool.
All right, I did try. So thank you everyone for sharing.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
being here. This one was a little bit longer, but like I said, these dream symbols, like we have so much fun with them. If there is a symbol that we haven't talked about, definitely message us and we will add it to the list because we have a list right now going of dream symbols that we want to touch on. Any last words as far as what we discussed with the dream symbols or anything?
No, I just, since, the North Node is going into Pisces, and for, like you said, the year and a half, we're going to be experiencing this, really pay attention to your dreams and what is being shown possibly from other realms and worlds and that in between space. And yeah, just document your dreams and share them if you want. Just, yeah.
And that's a message to myself because
Me
my
as well.
dream space has definitely been a lot more vivid and my dream recall is a lot better, but I've been really naughty when it comes to writing them down. So that's my thing. I need to write them down. I'm going to make that commitment. Yeah, so I second everything Alexis just said. And so just some announcements. I'm actually going to be teaching a dream class on January 26th. This is going to be through Ritual Craft School, virtual school online. So it's a virtual class, a Zoom class. And it's basically going to talk about how to create your dream practice. We'll go over the basics of dream work, but we'll also focus on how to like the reflection and then integration and embodiment aspect of it. And so more so like, what do you do with your dream entries, with what you've written, with what you recall, with the themes or the repeated messages? Like, how do you integrate that and how do you embody the messages, in your waking life? So that integration of the dreaming world and the waking world. So again, that's January 26th. And I'll put a link in the description of this video and also on Spotify if you're interested. Also, next week in our episode, our live chat, we'll have Jace live with us. I'm quite sure. And we'll be talking about Edgar Cayce and that connection to the dream space and the sleeping space. I'm so excited
I'm so
to
excited
chat
too.
about that. And so if you are familiar with Edgar Cayce, even if you're not and you do like a little bit of research, feel free to send us your questions and we would love to have you join us live and share in the chat, just your perspective and your thoughts on what we talk about. And yeah, so I think that's all I got. Oh, George is here and is doing the like raising hand, like,
Hey,
yay.
George.
All right, we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for listening. And we will be here again on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Sweet dreams.
Bye.